Guys, Lubeltran here, the IT veteran, and in today's video, pag-uusapan naman natin ano ba ang isang server engineer, server administrator, systems engineer, tsaka systems administrator. So, let's get started. Now, nagtataka kayo bakit ang daming pangalan kasi majority of the time na pag-i-interchange kasi itong mga terms na to eh. So, punta tayo dun sa aking PowerPoint presentation. So, yan. Server engineer, server administrator, systems engineer, at saka systems administrator. Napag-interchange siya majority of the time. Kaya kung titignan nyo sa mga job posting, kung minsan ang tawag is server engineer, minsan systems engineer, pero kung titignan nyo yung description ng job scope is halos parehas lang. So, bukas tayo ng isang browser natin. So, let's go to Indeed. And hanap tayo ng Systems Administrator. So, makikita niyo ito, Systems Administrator. Ito yung requirements. So, makikita niyo Active Directory, VMware, Virtualization. So, Systems Administrator niyan. Meron din namang Systems Engineer, ganun din. VMware, Cloud Computing, MySQL. Pero, if we type naman server administrator, makikita ninyo halos parehas lang ang requirements nila. So, makikita nyo Windows, ano ba? Ano tayo na server? Specifically, Windows Server Administrator, System Administrator, Unix System Administrator, Windows System Administrator. So, makikita nyo halos pare-parehas yung terminology. So, balik tayo din sa ating PowerPoint. So, ano nga ba ang job description ng isang server engineer or systems engineer? Ito yung apat na job categories or job names. Okay. Server engineer, server administrator, systems engineer, systems administrator. So, ang gawin muna natin, himayin muna natin, ano nga ba ang ibig sabihin ng bawat job position na to? Ano nga ba ang ibig sabihin? Ano nga ba ang difference ng server engineer tsaka administrator versus systems engineer tsaka systems administrator? Kasi maraming naguguluhan dito eh. Gagawin natin is like this. Okay? Makikita nyo yung X dito. So, ilabas ko lang ang aking pointer. Oops! Nangyari. Saan na ba yung laser pointer dito? Ayan. Okay? So, makita nyo, nilagay ko dito X kasi it can be system or server. Okay? So, ang ibig sabihin ng system or server engineer is siya yung nagdi-design at nagbi-build ng server infrastructure ninyo. Okay? Medyo mas mataas ang level nito kaysa sa isang server or systems administrator. Yun yung technical term ha, in terms of yung totoong description ng pagiging isang server or systems administrator, ay systems or server engineer, I mean, versus server or systems administrator. So, yung systems administrator or server admin, okay, ang pinaka job scope niya is more into the administration and maintenance. And yung server engineer nga, katulad na sinabi ko sa kanina, is it mainly describes yung job scope mo is more on the design and the build out ng mga server solutions. Pero in real life, over the years na naging IT ako, yung engineer and administrator has been used interchangeably. Anong ibig sabihin nun? Minsan, dinedescribe ang isang server engineer na server administrator. Minsan naman, i-describe yung systems administrator as systems engineer. So, interchangeable siya. Ang importante lang naman at the end of the day is that you must be able to design, build, and maintain servers and systems. Yun lang naman yun. Yun nga. Design, build, and maintain. Okay. Sa una, as a system administrator or server administrator, you will only be able to maintain and administer systems. Pero as you gain more experience sa pagiging isang administrator, then that's a time you become an engineer. Yun lang naman yung progression path nun eh. Okay? Pero sa mga job openings at saka sa job portals sa pag-interchange, yung ibig sabihin ng engineer at saka ng administrator. So ano naman ang difference ng systems at saka server? So meron tayong systems engineer, meron din tayong server engineer. Ano ibig sabihin ng dalawang yan? Systems engineer or systems administrator, ang job scope nila is more on end-to-end systems. So, kunyari naglagay ka ng isang application sa server, you have to also support that one on the client side sa mga desktops. Yun ang ibig sabihin ng systems. Pero pag sinabing server administrator or server engineer, primarily ang mini-maintain mo lang talaga is the servers itself. So, yun ang ibig sabihin nun. When they say systems, ibig sabihin yung application sa server and the client, okay? Or yung support mo is from the server up until the client side of things sa mga desktop. Pero pag tinatawag kang server or system, server engineer or server administrator, you're more into the servers na. Okay? Hindi mo masyadong napapakialaman yung on the client side of things. More on services ng servers ang support mo. Pero pag sinabing systems, yung complete application or software from the server to the client, yun yung mini-maintain. Pero at the end of the day, being a server or system engineer or administrator ka man, at the end of the day, servers pa rin ang hinahawakan primarily. Yan ang magiging specialization. Okay? Installing, building out, maintaining, backing up of servers, and marami pang iba. Yun, yung hardware part, servers. Now, in terms of yung mga brands na hahawakan mong servers, ito yung mga common na lagi kong na-encounter sa workplace. HP is a manufacturer of servers, ganun din si Dell. Cisco is also one. Para doon sa mga hindi nakakaalam, Cisco is also creating or building out servers. Nagbebenta rin siya ng servers. Yan yung second na pinakamalaking market niya in terms of IT equipment. Okay, so syempre leader siya sa mga networking equipment, pero nagbebenta rin siya ng servers, sarili niyang servers. Next naman is Lenovo. So Lenovo is kung sa tingin nyo bago lang si Lenovo sa marketplace, sa industry, actually yes, bago lang siya. Kaya siya naging big hitter or malaking provider ng servers kasi si Lenovo, binili niya yung server business division ng IBM, tapos nirebrand. Dati ang pangalan ng ThinkServer is IBM ThinkServer, pero since binili na ng Lenovo yung server business ng IBM, nirebrand na to ng Lenovo ThinkServer. Ano pa? Yung malalaki is Oracle. Oracle is also creating servers and selling servers, and also Supermicro. And marami pang iba. Nutanix, ano pa ba? And many more brands. Hindi ko naman ma-describe lahat dito. Pero ito yung mga usually big hitters na ma-encounter nyo sa workplace ninyo when you're being a server or a systems administrator. Now, in terms of skills, ano nga ba yung requirement sa pagiging isang server or systems administrator? Ano nga ba yung required skills na meron ka dapat? So, unang-una, you need to be proficient in the operating system, server operating systems specifically. Diyan papasok yung Windows Server operating systems. You also need to be proficient in Linux and Unix. Pero in terms of market share, how does each of this operating system perform pagdating sa mga businesses? Majority ng mga servers na mahahawakan mo are all Windows-based. Almost 72.1% according to this graph. Okay? So, 72.1% of the time, ang mahahawakan mong server are Windows servers. Then, there's 13.6% in terms of Linux, and 5.6 in terms of Unix. So ito yung tatlong pinakamalalaking operating system that you need to be familiar with being a server or a system administrator. Now, yung iba dito sa taas, it can be a Mac server, it can be an OS 390, pero medyo bihira na siyang ma-encounter. Pero really, over the years and recently, ang nakikita ko talaga is Windows, Linux, tsaka Unix. So, yan yung mga operating system na dapat familiar ka in terms of diving into servers. Kasi, alam nyo naman, the main purpose of a server is usually dyan natin dinedeposit yung ating data. Okay? It's a repository of data for a certain business. So, usually, ang tawag natin dyan, technical term is data at rest. Kasi dyan natin ini-store yung mga data. Okay? You also need to be proficient in building out specific kinds of servers, or ang tawag is server roles. Server roles. Roles. Naging pagkain. Okay, server roles. Okay, server roles. Okay, server roles. Yun ang tamang description niya. So, marami tayong types ng servers kasi hindi porket naglagay ka ng isang server dyan is yan na yung gagamitin ng lahat. Hindi naman ganun. It's not how it works in real life. Bawat server is may kanya-kanyang specialization yan. And it's up to the server or the system administrator to design it, okay, or system or server engineer to dictate ano yung magiging operation ng server na yun. So, ano yung mga server roles na meron tayo? You can have file and print servers for storing and printing files. You can also have database servers, web servers, terminal servers, proxy servers, DHCP servers, DNS servers, and storage servers. Huwag kayong maguguluhan dito kasi ang ibig sabihin lang naman nito, nag-build ka ng isang server for a specific purpose. And how do you dictate ano yung magiging purpose nun? By installing certain applications sa server na yun. So for example, Active Directory. Windows Active Directory, ibig sabihin nito, it's yung server na yun is in charge of allocating and managing yung access ng mga employees sa computer network. So, kung nagla-login ka sa computer mo sa workplace, yung Active Directory na nag-maintain nun. IIS naman, Windows IIS. So, pag naglagay ka ng IIS application sa isang server, ang ibig sabihin nun, you're converting that one into a web server. Okay? So, ganun din. If you put a Microsoft Exchange sa isang server, yun you're technically creating a mail server. Ganun din sa MySQL. If you put a MySQL sa isang server on top of the operating system, you're actually running already a database server. And ganun din sa Oracle applications. For a multitude of applications na business applications. Ay, dyan magaling sa Oracle, business applications. And marami pa. Okay? So, yung server roles will be dictated by the application that you will be installing sa server na yun. Now, next skills na dapat meron ka as a server or systems administrator is you need to be proficient in the two types of command lines. Primarily, dito sa left is Microsoft PowerShell kung ang specialty mo is on the Windows side ng mga servers. So, you need to be proficient in Windows PowerShell. Now, kung maka-Linux ka naman sa kabilang side ng bakuran natin as an IT, you need to be proficient doon sa command line ng Linux. So, ano pa ang requirement for being a server or system engineer or administrator? You need to be, aside from the command line, you need to be proficient in scripting. Okay, automating various tasks sa loob ng server mo in terms of backing up, applying patches, and many more. You can actually script all of this processes. So you can use Python, JavaScript, depende kung anong flavor at hilig mo in terms of the coding application. Okay? Ano pa? In terms of sa skills ng pagiging isang server administrator, you also need to be proficient in virtualization. Ang ibig sabihin naman ng virtualization is dati kasi during sa mga panahon ko okay, mga sinaunang IT, ang deployment kasi ng servers dati is one server, one application. Okay, so build ka ng server, lagyan mo ng operating system, and gagamitin lang yan for a single application. Okay? Majority of the time, hindi na ma-maximize ng application na yon yung full capabilities ng hardware ng server. Kaya ang naging development over the years, hindi naman to, virtualization is not new. It's been around for almost a decade now. Okay? Pero ang premise lang naman, okay, ng virtualization is that since hindi na ma-maximize ng isang application ang kanyang server, why not put multiple operating systems and multiple applications on a single device, single server. So ang tawag dito is virtualization. So how does this work? Ito yung physical hardware natin sa baba. Ito yung server. Then mag-install tayo ng hypervisor. Ito yung virtualization software natin para makagawa siya ng multiple servers, technically multiple servers to sa isang physical server. Okay, so may logical server ka dito, may software-based server ka. So sabihin na natin 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. May 5 kang servers sa loob ng isang physical server that is running multiple applications. So dati, nung panahon ko, kailangan ng isang server for Active Directory, Windows Active Directory, domain controller, file server, print server, web server, SharePoint. So 6 na servers ang technically kailangan ko bilhin. But with virtualization, bibili lang ako ng isang malaking high capacity server, okay, a powerful and high capacity server, tapos ilalagay ko na yung 6 na servers dun sa loob na yun. That is virtualization. So technically, isang server lang binili ko, pero it can run all of the 6 server roles at the same time. So yun ang ibig sabihin ng virtualization. So you need to be very familiar with the 2 types of virtualization or 2 flavors na napakarampant sa industry natin as an IT. So Windows Server using Hyper-V, that's one virtualization technology or brand, and yung kabilang side naman is on the VMware side of things. So VMware VMware platforms for servers, yan yung ginagamit. Then you also have a choice for the Windows Server. Hyper-V naman ang tawag. Then yung pinaka-recent ang tawag dito, pinaka-recent advancement in terms of virtualization is really cloud computing. Cloud computing is technically nanghihiram ka ng server time or computing time from the various large companies na meron tayo. Then you deploy your servers nila. Okay, so ang advantage lang nito is hindi ka na bumibili ng sarili mong equipment. Nakikihiram ka ng equipment. Yun lang naman ang ibig sabihin ng cloud. Nakikihiram ka kay Google, nakikihiram ka ng server kay Microsoft, nakikihiram ka rin ng server kay Amazon. Tapos doon mo ilalagay applications mo. You can build out yung infrastructure mo inside that cloud computing. Kaya makikita nyo dito yung servers, sadyan din, databases, applications, and storage, and mobile. Ito yung applications at saka mobile, ito usually nilalagay natin sa mga servers natin sa physical side of things, pero in the cloud, you can also do the same thing. So, may tatlong types ng cloud computing. You have public cloud. Public cloud, yun nga, nanghihiram ka ng server time kay Amazon at kay Microsoft, for example. Private cloud naman, you build your very own cloud infrastructure, okay, sa internet. Then hybrid is you mix and match yung public at private clouds. Okay, so ang ibig sabihin ng hybrid, meron kang sariling cloud infrastructure sa kumpanya ninyo. Then yung mga kulang mo, kinukuha mo kay Amazon, for example. Okay, tapos kinoconnect mo na lang sila between your infrastructure and the cloud provider's infrastructure. So yun ang naman ang ibig sabihin ng hybrid cloud. So ano yung mga brands or mga nagpo-provide ng cloud computing dyan? Alibaba Cloud, Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud Platform, VMware, Azure, Oracle Cloud, Liquid Web, tsaka Salesforce. Marami pang iba. Okay, Rackspace, ano pa ba yung iba? Bluehost, pero really, hindi ko siya maililista dito lahat sa aking PowerPoint slide kasi kukulangin ako ng space. Okay? Pero the big three na lagi naglalaban, and the big three that is being used majority of the time ng mga businesses or yung mga kumpanyang papasukan ninyo is Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud Platform, at saka Microsoft Azure. Okay. Ang pinakamalaki and usually ma-encounter nyo is Amazon Web Services kasi siya yung pinakaunang cloud provider, and majority of businesses have been using it for the past couple of years already. Second na pinakamalaki is Azure kasi alam nyo naman, halos lahat ng servers sa buong mundo is running Windows, so syempre madaling ma-migrate Windows servers into Azure. Kaya medyo malaki ang market share ng Azure. Then third is Google Cloud Platform. Pero technically, itong tatlong nito, kaya nilang, they're basically the same, magkaiba lang ang brand. Okay? Kung ano yung nagagawa ni Amazon, nagagawa rin ni Google. Kung ano yung nagagawa ni Google, nagagawa rin ni Azure. Kung ano yung nagagawa ni Azure, nagagawa rin ni Amazon. It's just a matter of yung magiging preference ng kumpanya niya. Alibaba Cloud, Chinese eh. Pero enough of that. Ay, ganun din kay Oracle Cloud, VMware, and Salesforce. So, next topic natin is what to expect when you get hired as a system or a server administrator. So, unang-una na you have to expect is that kapag na-hire kayo as a server or system administrator is tapos na yung mga araw nyo as a frontliner. Okay. Anong ibig sabihin ba ng server or system administrator? Ang ibig sabihin lang naman to, siguro nag-start ka as a desktop support tapos nag-specialize ka into the server side of things, kaya ka naging server or system administrator or engineer. Pero really hindi ka na frontliner as a server or system administrator. Ang mga kausap mo na lang primarily is mga kapwa mo IT or IT ng ibang kumpanya. Okay, so hindi ka na kumakausap to the end users itself. You're more into the maintenance of the servers. Okay, nasa back end ka na ng IT department. Okay? So ang magiging hierarchy ninyo, si desktop support, si technical support, or si service desk, sila yung kumakausap sa end user. Tapos nire-relay nila kung ano yung problema ng user in terms of the server side of things sa'yo as a system or server administrator. Then that's the time you troubleshoot or provision something sa mga servers. Then once you complete that one, you relay it back to the desktop, service desk, or tech support na sila na bahala mag-communicate to the client. Okay, so tapos na yung mga araw ng pagiging frontliner. Now, ang usual na magiging progression mo sa pagiging isang system or server engineer or administrator is that once na pumasok ka sa isang kumpanya, you will become something called something like a system or server admin. Admin ka lang muna. Okay, you're still in charge of the servers, pero you're more into the maintenance and administration of it. Okay? So yun ang ibig sabihin ng system or server administrator. Tapos na eh, nakalagay na yung mga servers. It's your job to maintain and administer them. So ang ginagawa natin dyan is most primarily is maintenance, backing up of the servers, applying patches, running specific server roles, or provisioning server roles. Tapos kung may problema yung servers mo, then it's a time to troubleshoot. Okay. So administration, maintenance, and troubleshooting. Then once you have progressed enough or have learned the skills of being yung skills fully, lahat ng skills ng pagiging isang server administrator or system administrator, then that's the time you become already a system or server engineer. So system or server engineer is more into the design. Okay, they design already yung server infrastructure ninyo at saka nagbe-build out na sila ng mga infrastructure. So installation ng servers, configuration ng servers, deployment ng servers, then once natapos nila yung design and build out, sa kanila tina-turn over ito sa mga system administrator. So yan. ito lang ang kailangan kong sabihin sa inyo. Whether you're a systems engineer or a system or a server administrator, technically, once you get enough skills, you're going to be basically both at the same time. Okay? So, regardless kung tawagin kang administrator or engineer, it's practically the same pa rin. Okay? Nasa job scope mo yung build, deploy, maintain, and administer. So, yan usually yung progression. Okay? Pagpasok mo as a system administrator, you're just administering and maintaining the systems. Then, once you get into the server or system engineering, then that's the time you have the option to design your own systems and server infrastructures. So, ganun din. Sumusunod din tayo sa isang multi-tier IT support structure. So, kalimutan nyo na yung tier 0 dito sa baba. Hindi lang ako makakita ng diagram kasi sa internet. Pero technically, tier 1 system administrator or system or server administrator is ayan, mga entry level. Then, you become a senior system administrator or senior system or senior server administrator. Okay, so nagiging tier 2 ka na. Then, you go na into sabi mo na systems engineer or systems or server engineer, which is tier 3. Then, management na. Okay, or tier 4. Okay, so yun yung ganun yung progression ng career ng levels in terms of sa pagiging isang system or server engineer or administrator, depending kung anong gusto niyo pangalan. Okay, so ano yung career paths and IT certifications na pwede niyong kunin? Kalimutan mo muna yung software path yan. Okay? Let's go muna with the hardware. Since maglalaro ka or mag-i-install ka ng mga servers, ang recommendation ko sa inyo is you basically take lang muna yung Server Plus certification ng CompTIA. It just gives you yung fundamentals. Optional lang to okay? Hindi ko sinasabing requirement niyo na kumuha ng Server Plus. Okay? Kasi mas magandang pumunta ka or kumuha ka ng certification in terms of sa Microsoft or sa Linux. Okay? Mas prefer ko yung ganun. Pero in terms of the hardware path, go with the Server Plus muna. Then, kung may time ka, okay, kung may time ka, take also yung hardware certifications ng mga vendors. So, for example, dito, pinakita ko sa inyo is specialized ka in terms of HP servers, okay, CITE Solutions, and you can also go with Dell. Pero ang primary requirement for being a system or server engineer is really on the software side of things. Dapat proficient ka in terms of the operating system ng mga servers, primarily the Linux and Windows paths. Okay? And kung may requirements na ng Unix, then you go with Unix also. Then, ano pa ba? Virtualization. Okay, ang recommendation ko for virtualization, you go with Microsoft, Hyper-V, and VMware. Hindi ko na nilagay yung Hyper-V dito kasi that's included already on the Microsoft certifications. So, almost a requirement na ngayon. Okay? Aside from the operating system, yung having the skills of virtualization for being a server or system engineer or administrator. Then, ang next progression path ninyo dapat as a server or systems engineer is once you finish yung virtualization ninyo at saka yung Linux or Microsoft certifications ninyo, you need to move into the various cloud platforms, primarily AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud. Kasi yan na yung magiging future natin in terms of sa pagiging isang system or server administrator. You become now a cloud engineer. Okay? You can now develop things in-premise or sa loob ng kumpanya ninyo, pero you also need to have the skills to deploy that same infrastructure sa cloud. So, yan. AWS is the most widely recognized certification in terms of cloud. Susunod si Azure, which is here. Nakikita nyo dito, Azure Solutions Architect, then Google Cloud. Bakit AWS ang nare-recommend ko? Kasi pinakamarami pa rin kumpanya ang nagsimula sa AWS and they are still using AWS, and yung market share talaga niya is very big. Okay, susunod lang si Microsoft Azure tsaka si Google Cloud. Yun yung naging advantage ni Amazon, siya na una. Okay, kaya siya yung pinakamalaki ang market share and mas marami siyang kliyente. Ano pa ba? Ayun din, you need to have proficiency in terms of the command line, Linux command line, and yung PowerShell ng Microsoft Windows Server. And for automation, ang recommendation ko is Python. Okay, so ganun din for scripting you can use yung native platform ng PowerShell at saka ng Linux. Pero alam niyo naman, we're very big in automation right now, so really ang recommendation ko, you also take Python program. So in terms of skill sets, may typo na ako. Okay, so kalimutan niyo na yung tech support dyan. It should be system or server engineer. Okay, pero ngayon nga, ano yung skills na kailangan mo? Summary lang ito. You need to have computer assembly. You need to know how a computer works. Kasi if you know how a computer works, you already know how a server works also. So, ganun din, computer or server diagnostics, you have to know kung ano yung problema ng server ninyo, yung mga capacities ng servers ninyo, storage, yun yung mga usually tinitignan as a server administrator or engineer. Then, you need to have also software and hardware expertise, software brand expertise, kasi maraming brands, maraming types ng servers si HP, maraming types ng servers si Dell, marami ring types ng servers si Lenovo. You need to know ano yung mag-fit sa budget ng server ninyo at saka ano yung capabilities ng server na yun. Kasya ba siya sa application na kailangan kong i-deploy sa server na to? Kaya ba niyang hanggang ilang virtual machines ang kayang tumakbo sa specific server platform na to or server model na to? So you need to know your brands mo ng servers, tsaka yung mga technical specifications. Okay, ilang RAM, ilan yung storage, ano yung processor, kanya Xeon ba yan or AMD, and many more aspects in terms of yung sa brands. Ano pa? You need to be proficient on the various operating systems na gagamitin ng mga servers mo, primarily Windows, Linux, and Unix. Yan lang naman yung tatlong majority na lagi ko na-encounter. Okay, so syempre, majority of the time din, Windows ang nahawakan kasi yun yung pinaka-prevalent. You need to also be able to support yung mga applications na i-deploy mo sa mga servers para maging specific server role siya. So, kunyari maglalagay ka ng Microsoft IIS sa server mo, you need to be able to support that Microsoft IIS para maging web server yung server ninyo. Ganon din for storage arrays. Okay? Yung anong application man gagamitin mo for the storage area natin. For example. Ano pa ba? And many more others. Okay. Masyadong marami kasing application. Napakalawak ng field ng pagiging isang server or system administrator. Kasi ang daming applications na pwede mong ilagay sa mga servers, ang dami mong career progression paths na pwedeng puntahan. Napakalawak, okay, ng pagiging isang server or systems engineer or administrator. Depende kung nasaan level ka or phase ka. And kung i-describe ko rin lahat yon sa video ko na to, it would take me hours and hours. Hindi mauubos yung oras just to describe yung field ng servers, yung specialty ng pagiging servers. Now, in terms of soft skills, halos ganun pa rin. Katulad ng mga previous videos ko, ability to learn new things. Ang dami mong kailangang aralin as a system or a server administrator kasi sa dami ng applications na pwede mong ilagay sa mga servers. Yun lang. Marami kang pwedeng aralin. So, wala ka nang masyadong soft phone skills as server or system administrator kasi you're going to need more people skills kasi ang mga makakahalubilo mo as a system or server administrator is mga kapwa mo IT from the different departments, mga network administrator, mga desktop support, mga cyber security analysts, network security analysts, mga ganyan. Okay? Ayun din, problem solving. Siyempre, nagta-troubleshoot din tayo. Okay? Yung mga servers mo, when they're not functioning that well or may hindi sila ginagawang tama, then you have to troubleshoot it. Na kung di mo rin makita yung problema, then that's the time you go to Google and you research. Or tawagan mo yung customer support hotline ng Dell, ng HP, or ng Microsoft, or yung application na ginagamit sa loob ng server ninyo to troubleshoot the issue. Ganun din, analytical skills to rule out kung ano yung hindi problema ng servers mo when you're troubleshooting. Customer service, siguro kung nasa kwan ka, anong tawag dito, more on the sales part ng pagiging isang server when kailangan magbenta, okay, ng mga servers. Pero that's more on the sales side of things. Pero really, hindi nawawala ang customer service skills sa pagiging isang IT. And that's it. Ayusin ko lang yung screen natin. Yan. So, napakalawak. Okay? Napakalawak ng field ng pagiging isang server or system administrator or kung gusto nyo system or server engineer. Ang number one na maibibigay ko sa inyong tip, okay, when you're trying to go into this field is specialization. Keyword is specialization. Hindi mo maaaral lahat in real life. You have to specialize and go on a specific track. It's nice to have other skills or it's nice to have Linux and at the same time Windows. Pero really, do you have the time to study everything? Okay, so you need to specialize. Okay? Dahil sa dami ng brands, sa dami ng applications, okay? Tapos i-compound mo pa yung mga operating system na mga servers na gagamitin mo, yung mga features niya, ang dami yung kailangan pag-aralan. Okay? Ganun din in terms of the applications. So that's it, fellow IT engineers, for this video. Hopefully marami kayo natutunan and nalinawan sana kayo kung ano ang trabaho ng pagiging isang server engineer or server administrator or systems engineer or systems administrator. Kasi marami kayong makikita dito when you're job hunting. So, nagsasabi ako dito, hindi ko pala na-switch yung ating screen para makita niyo. Okay, nagkamali ako na. Hindi ko nakita dito sa screen. Sorry about that one. So, ito, yung sinasabi ko sa inyo. So, ayan, Windows Server Administrator, minimum 2 years support of Windows environments. So, server or network. So, saan mo makukuha yung experience na to? By studying yung Microsoft certifications. Okay? Technically, yung Microsoft certification na yon counts as an experience. Okay? Yun hindi na iintindihan eh. It can be counted as an experience kung nag-aaral ka ng Microsoft certification or any other IT certification. Okay? So, ano pa ba? Ayan nga. Ayan, virtual machines. Okay, VM. So, kailangan nila ng merong VMware certification, Microsoft certification, or Microsoft Azure certification. So, hanap tayo. Just junior system administrator, at least 1 year experience. Okay. So, pagiging with Windows servers. Ayan. Ito naman, Windows System Administrator, experience in Windows servers 2008 and 2012, and databases because of SQL. Tignan natin to. So, SAMP1 server solution. So, ano pa? Yan na, VMware. So, yeah, VMware. Marami tayong openings in terms of server administrators. So that's it, fellow IT engineers, for this video. Hopefully marami kayong natutunan sa pagiging isang server or system administrator. That's it for this video, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you so much. Guest me for this topic 0 0 0 1 1